What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Smart Talk. We're talking about real struggles, real stories, and entrepreneurs that came from the ground up. Today, got my homegirl Melissa in the building.
What's up, guys?
How are you, ma'am?
I am doing well. Hot.
You're
Pretty
hot.
hot outside.
Yeah, it's definitely Albuquerque's definitely gotten hotter
Yeah,
this past couple weeks.
it's kind of crazy. It's like a lot sooner than normal.
Yeah, for
So we got to
sure.
get adjusted to this weather.
Well, Melissa, I appreciate you coming on here. You're a big influencer in Albuquerque. A lot of people really get to know. A lot of people know you in the community as far as the involvement you have and stuff like that. So tell me a little more about yourself.
Yeah, so, we were kind of talking earlier. I don't really, like to call myself an influencer because where I got my start was, before the social media stuff. So several years ago, there used to be an organization. It was the Westside Chamber of Commerce. Did the marketing, eventually at some point took it over, and then the pandemic hit. So coming from a nonprofit standpoint, once funding is not there, you kind of have to shift and find other opportunities. So I kind of stepped down from that role, but I've always been involved in the business community. And from that point, a lot of businesses already knew me and they're struggling. We're in the pandemic. They're looking for support and, just different funding opportunities. So a group of us got together and said, you know what, we need to rebuild what we had started working on. And that's when we founded the Albuquerque Westside Business Association. So basically, being that support system for businesses during the pandemic and, continuing on from that, just really being that resource for them, whether it be helping them find funding, helping them with grand openings. But it was really a difficult time during the pandemic, especially for businesses on the West Side. We had, I could tell you about a handful of different businesses that, ready to open March 2020, and then the pandemic hits, and now they're not able to open. They were not able to find any type of funding because they couldn't prove that they had lost any income because they weren't open yet. So it was really a difficult time. And some of the restaurants, of course, they were struggling because they couldn't open their doors. It was only, the essential businesses that could open. And that's where I think, I started to film content and say, look at this business, be sure to support this business. And I think that's where the start of the influencer type of thing came from. But, never my intent to go around being an influencer. It just so happened that I've already been involved with the business community. I knew the businesses, and I was just trying to find a platform to help them kind of survive during that time.
Whenever you're posting content about these business owners and like restaurants you're going to, were you surprised as far as the feedback and engagement you're getting on social media?
I was, yeah. And like I said, it wasn't something that I just one day said, I'm going to, be an influencer. It just happened. It really was surprising to see how, I think during the pandemic, when the rise of TikTok came, I was like with everyone else. We were just bored in the house, and I don't know what video. It was just a ridiculous video I did, and it just out of nowhere blew up. Like, and so that's where I started to say, okay, well, if I can, get people to watch something silly, then maybe I should start transforming to help these business owners that I know and help them just really get their names out there and it really did. And it was amazing how some of these videos just, went crazy. And yeah, that definitely surprised me.
Yeah, so definitely by accident, huh?
It was definitely by accident.
Yeah, because most people, they're trying their hardest and they can't get it,
Yeah. And then it was, at the time where that really, started to become a thing. And I think because I was one of the first ones to start that early on, it just kind of went. But now not so much. I don't get out as much and do that stuff anymore. I was getting a lot of restaurants, non-West Side businesses that were just reaching out to me, or, even just trying new places, but not always the healthiest. And I did know, I was like, okay, I got to slow down on some of this stuff because I was not in a healthy space. So part of my reason for kind of stopping to do the food stuff was for health reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you born and raised in Albuquerque, New
I
Mexico?
actually was not born and raised here. I was born and raised in Pueblo, Colorado, but I have been here for majority of my life. So I moved here over 20 years ago, and so that's pretty much, yeah, Albuquerque has been home. I lived all my adult life here, so yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about Albuquerque? Do you really like it here? Could you see yourself living here for the rest of your life? Or because I know a lot of influencers that come on this podcast, they're they have love for Albuquerque, but they don't want to finish their career off here.
Well, being that I am not, originally from here, all of my family is still in Colorado. And so um, I grew to love Albuquerque. I grew to love New Mexico, but eventually I will make my way back to Colorado. Not anytime in the near future, but at some point I will go back to Colorado.
Yeah, I used to live there. I was in the army, so
Well, my
yeah.
ex-husband was in the army, which is how we got here. He became a recruiter here,
Oh,
and
okay.
since then never went back to Colorado.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Colorado. It's way too cold over there.
Yes.
The winter times it gets crazy. It's with the hail and like
Yeah.
the
Oh
snow.
yeah.
It's insane.
It's yes. I've been through a couple of blizzards there, so I guess that's why I never went back. I stood here. I loved the weather. You still get all four seasons here, but the winters are just so much more mild than in Colorado.
Yeah, they're not that bad.
I do not like driving in the snow. I will not drive in the snow. And so that would be my only, I guess, negative thing about going back to Colorado is the weather.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of your favorite restaurants on the west side?
Mariscos Altimar, it was, I think might have been one of my first videos that I had done. I really have gotten to like Kelly Burrito Company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that place is great. I wish we had more. There's a lot of opportunity there, but not too many restaurants survive.
Mhm.
It's a tough business climate. Of course, everybody on the west side has to commute to the other side of town for work, so it does have an impact on business. It really does when everybody is on this side of town during work hours. So lunches become complicated. I know some of the restaurants they're not even open during the lunch hour just because it's a tough restaurants period are tough.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the toughest business anyone can get into is the restaurant business.
Yeah, it's super saturated and competitive.
It is workforce, and I really think after the pandemic that really kind of changed how things operate. It's tough. I actually worked in restaurants before, so I, for a long time, worked at Sadie's on 4th Street. And so, again, I think that was why doing those videos, I understood how restaurants work and operated, that I just needed to do what I could to really help those restaurants out and using my platform to do so.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Yeah.
work with the city at all or the government as far as trying to help business owners out?
We do. So the association is a nonprofit, but we do, we are partners with the city. As a matter of fact, I think it was last month, the city did a small business resource fair. And so, a lot of times the city and government departments will reach out to me if there's updates or anything. They, ask me to share the information with my business network. We actually do currently have a contract with the state to do economic development projects along the Coors Corridor on the west side. And so one of those initiatives that we're working on is a Shop Local Coors Corridor. And so we are in the process of developing like a logo. We'll be visiting businesses, giving them a decal to put on their window, just showing that they are a local business and to support local. Policy work is a lot of stuff that we do, advocacy and policy. So, sometimes I'll go to City Hall and speak at a city council meeting in support of something. A lot of committee hearings, speaking in support for things like the Mesa Film Studio, other projects, other economic development projects. We do speak in support and ask that they approve these projects. So Westside has always been an underdeveloped community, and now we're finally starting to see these developments. Actually, I think the city just broke ground on the widening of Paseo del Norte and Unser, which will be huge, because once that happens, that will open it up. There's a proposed urban town center similar to like AB2 Uptown that is in the works. We'll see how that goes, but something like that on the west side. So yeah, I do have to have relationships with city and state governments.
Yeah, I can tell you have a big passion for the line of work you're doing.
Thanks. Well, I grew up in a family of business owners, so I think that's where, my passion comes from. I remember being, I don't remember how old I was, I maybe 8 years old, and my mom, she opened up her first business. She does hair, well, she did hair, she retired. And I remember her opening up her first salon, and I could just, that feeling of going into the salon the first time when she showed my grandparents and just, seeing how proud they were of her. And I just remember that feeling as a kid. Unfortunately, that business did not make it, but she didn't give up. And so she and my cousin went in business, and they opened up another salon, which, last August, she retired from the business. But so yeah, watching my family through their businesses from the start, watching the struggles, it did become a passion of mine to also go out and support and help these other businesses that are going through the same thing. And my stepdad also, he and his family he's still in business, have a floor covering business. So I just grew up watching my family build their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the passion comes from.
That's really neat. That's really cool. Any businesses that are struggling or they need some type of assistance from the government or the city, is there grants or funding that they can apply and that they're not aware of, that they can apply for that?
Usually the city and state always, have opportunities. So any business can go on to the New Mexico Economic Development Department website. They always have a list of opportunities and grants. The Small Business Development Department of the city also, I know that there was a window grant program that they had for, unfortunately we are in a time where businesses are getting vandalized and their windows are being broken into. So I know the city extended their window grant program. And the Small Business Administration Office always has grants and opportunities as well. So there's many opportunities for small businesses, whether they're looking for access to capital or just, some sort of small business grant.
Yeah, because sometimes whenever you're a business owner, sometimes you kind of feel like you're on an island because you don't have that corporate help or HR.
Yeah.
So stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about Rio Rancho growing as a city itself? Because that's also helping the West Side.
It does. It does help the West Side. They are really growing, but I do want to. When I do stuff and I tell them I do the West Side Business Association, they automatically assume I'm talking about Rio Rancho, and it's a completely different city. The west side of Albuquerque is still Albuquerque, and Rio Rancho is Rio Rancho. We get into this talk all the time. But yeah, it does help. A lot of the growth from Rio Rancho does help. It does help West Side business because they do come and they, spend their money with West Side business. But yeah, things should work together. Unfortunately, because it's a different city, their policies and government is a little bit different than what we face here in Albuquerque. But I love to see the growth in that area. It's definitely something needed. And it does, it can kind of maybe get the needle pushed on some of these projects that are kind of slowly in the works on the west side of Albuquerque.
Do you work with anybody from Rio Rancho that's in like city officials or anybody like that?
I don't work with any officials from Rio Rancho, just because the businesses that we work with are along Coors, and so they don't really. I do try to work with our city councilors, state representatives. You know, we've had partnerships with the city of Albuquerque before. During again, back to the pandemic time, the mayor launched a program where different organizations assisted the city in distributing like the gloves, masks, sanitizer, the PPE products. So yeah, I do work very closely with our local governments.
Nice. What's your process when deciding what business to promote?
You know, a lot of times the businesses will find our website or just referrals, and they'll reach out to the association. Either the association or me. Maybe they know me personally. Because, some of the business owners that I've worked with in the past, they will reach out to me with another business that they have. So it just, I wouldn't say I have a process. It's just depending on who I'm talking to at the time, whether it be a new business that's starting up or somebody that I've known for a while. So like, it was really sad that they didn't make it, but the last call when they tried to reopen up, I think there were some issues before the first one. Well, actually, he had some downtown too.
Yeah,
but
the one downtown was fire.
Yeah, and I really missed that when he, it was unfortunate that he had to close the first time on the west side when he first opened his business on the west side, and then had the opportunity to come back. He actually moved out of state and then moved back here and opened up the last call, and it just restaurant business is tough. It just wasn't the right time. The other thing too, the construction costs, rebuilds, all of that stuff adds up, and it's tough on a business.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
What's one thing, like, so if there's business owners coming to you like, hey, I want to start this and this business, right? What's one thing do you feel like business owners kind of underestimate or maybe overlook at when it comes to building up their business or brand that ends up hurting them in the end, or can even end up getting their doors closed?
Not having a business plan. So one of our business resource partners, if they're just starting out, maybe they have an idea, they don't have their, it starts off as an idea. I would always say to make sure that you have a plan, and there's always these resources. I forget the name of it, but it's another small business resource department where they will help you, and they don't charge for it. It's helping them write out their business plan, making sure that they have the access to funding, and then the marketing part. I think a lot of businesses don't put as much effort as they should in their marketing efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I think the marketing is so important, especially for somebody that is just starting out. And I think as time has gone on, social media has gotten so popular. A lot of businesses realize social media, they have to be. When I first started doing a lot of this stuff, before TikTok even came out, these businesses would not, they didn't feel like they needed to be on social media. And it's almost like now you have to be on social media.
Yeah.
So I think the marketing, and my background is in marketing, so aside from, I do have to also mention that aside from the business association, because that's something that I do on a part-time basis, but I do also marketing and events for Cottonwood Mall. So marketing is my thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. You're wearing a bunch of hats, huh?
I do. I wear, yeah. It's exhausting.
Do you charge local businesses to help promote, or is it just?
I don't. Everyone always tells me you need to start charging. It's not. it's not something that I'm trying to make money off of.
Yeah.
So it's, if I can help somebody, then I will.
Mhm.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, like how you're saying that if you're a business owner, you have to, everyone's on social media, you have to promote. I feel like people that are a little older, it's unfortunate for them because they don't really get the aspect of social
Yeah.
media and stuff like that. Because my dad has a flower shop, and you know, he's not really focused on the social media part but he doesn't really understand
Yeah.
it because he's just a lot older. So I feel like a lot of older business owners don't really get that part.
They don't. And that was, like I said, in my earlier years doing this, they were just like, we get so many referrals, we don't need that. So what flower shop? I'm curious now. What flower shop?
Cleopatra Flowers.
Okay.
It's on the west side.
Yes, I think I know exactly where that is. Like right by the High Point.
Yeah,
Yes.
High Point Grill and stuff
Yeah.
like that. That actually closed, and then they reopened High Point Grill.
They did. Again, restaurant business is hard.
Yeah, it's super hard and stuff like that. So, and I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
I used to actually own the Hookah Kings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I sold it a couple weeks ago though.
Really?
Yeah, I'm moving to California.
Oh, so how many more episodes of this do you have here in Albuquerque?
I'm gonna be flying back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be here because I do real estate, so I own properties out here.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be back pretty frequently.
Very cool. So you understand, you have a parent that owns a business and you understand.
Yeah, the business.
So now that makes sense on why you do what you do also.
Yeah, so yeah, I like the west side. I feel like west side's a lot more cleaner, it's safer. I feel like the crime isn't a big problem as far as more than it is on the east side.
Exactly. I've done a lot of work with the police department, even before, before things started to, you could really see the rise in crime and homelessness. Did a lot of work with, and I still do, going back to your, do I work with city? And yes, especially the police department. We used to do business meetings, business coalition meetings with APD. And ironically, the West Side substation, the Northwest Area Command, is the largest one in the city. So they have the largest area that they have to cover. And, they do a great job because it is probably one of the ones with the least amount of crime. So it's interesting that they have the largest area to cover and not as much crime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still there, but
How do you feel about Albuquerque's crime?
yeah,
It's a tough one, huh?
it is.
It's sad because it's like our own people, that's hurting ourselves.
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating to see. It's unfortunate that we have to have these programs in place. Like I was saying, the window grant program. It's unfortunate that it's come to that. Because I hate.
Yeah, I got my window smashed in.
Yeah. I hate to see the crime that's happening in the area and the impact that it has on businesses. A lot of people don't realize that this, fine, you're going to cover the broken windows, but what they don't mention is, now your insurance costs
go up. Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot more crime that's not being reported because they don't want to, businesses don't want.
Yeah, I ate the cost when someone broke my window.
Yeah.
Because if you make an insurance claim, your premium's going to go up.
And that's one thing that it's not talked about enough. I know a lot of insurance agents that, kind of maybe even tell their clients, I wouldn't report it because this is what's going to happen. So, are the numbers that we're getting right now really the true numbers if not everybody's reporting these crimes? I know that, city wants you to report all this stuff, but if it's going to, be at a cost, something that's going to raise your costs on things, then do you report it?
Mm-hmm. If you're more in a position of power, what's one out of everything you've learned as far as working with local business owners? What thing you do to help stop the crime?
Oh man, there's just so much. I don't know that there's I don't know what the answer is to that. I've heard everybody's solutions, everybody's ideas. I don't know that any of it actually being put into place or if it's working. I wish there was an easy answer to that, but unfortunately, it's just.
I put you on the spotlight.
So you did, and this is why I'm not a politician. But obviously, the mental health issue, the addiction, we got to get these people treatments. I know that there were some laws that were recently passed up in Santa Fe that may help, but it's just like not something. I wish there was just like an easy solution for it all. Unfortunately, it's just so many things that need to take place in order for us to see progress and for things to get better. But again, I think it all starts with the behavioral health, the mental health crisis that we're seeing, the addiction problem. I mean, that's just really.
Yeah, it's getting bad.
It's bad, and the cost of these drugs that they're on, it's so cheap that it's just so easily accessible for them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stop that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
How would you describe Albuquerque's culture for someone that's never been here?
The culture, again, this is part of the reason why I stayed and didn't go back to Colorado. When I first moved here, was honestly not too much of a difference from where I grew up in Pueblo, Colorado. A lot of people say Albuquerque is just, a really big pueblo. So, but I do love, one of my favorite things to do is go out to the petroglyphs. So I like to go for, I'm an outdoors person, so I love doing stuff outdoors. So I like to go for hikes. But it's just like something about it is just so peaceful and calming, relaxing. People, maybe not in recent years, but the friendliness of people that anytime my family would come to visit, they would always say, everyone here is so friendly. And I think that's maybe we kind of gotten away from that here. But, it's turned to a little something else. Now I'm like telling everyone you have to lock your doors when you come, which is sad. But I fell in love with the culture of this place. It just felt like home to me. Even though I didn't grow up here, it really did feel, it felt warm, welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have even though it's not a really big city, it's like a big small city, I guess.
Yeah, it is. It is a big small city.
But once you get to know the community, the people, you pretty much know everyone. And I would say, building a strong network that I have. I love it. Which is why I still continue to do what I do. I love being involved in the community. I love that I get to help people. Just whatever I can do to help. If I can do it, then yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever receive backlash or negative comments whenever you do support businesses and stuff like that? Because I know people do be hating.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's always haters. That's just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Honestly, and again, that's why I say I'm like the worst social media influencer because I don't comment very much. I see sometimes, people argue on social media. That's not really something I want to spend my time doing. So if people want to leave negative comments, they have the freedom and right to do so. I just choose to not interact with it.
Yeah, I feel like you're that type of person. You just brush it off and move on.
I don't want to waste my time because then now I'm angry. Like, why make yourself angry over something that probably is a fake account to begin with? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get involved in any of the social media beef or drama.
Yeah, and it's sad because, like, we're all trying to help each other out here,
Yeah.
We're all trying to make the community better, make sure businesses are thriving.
Yes, exactly. I will never bash or say anything negative about a business online. I may have my own personal opinions or maybe a bad experience, but I'm not going to go out there and post it all over.
Hmm.
It's just not my vibe.
Yeah. What's the next step for you? Like, what's the next big project you're working on, or?
So, well, with the association, it's always, nonprofit world. You got to always fundraise. We're going to be doing a cornhole tournament next month, so that's what we're raising funds for. And a lot of the work that we do, again, is to support business along Coors Boulevard, but we're also very involved in schools. So I do a lot of work with some of the schools. Unfortunately, just this past week, I wasn't able to participate, but in the past, like John Adams Middle School, West Mesa High School, some of the elementary schools will reach out, and if they ever have like career fairs or, job fairs, that type of stuff, I usually participate in those types of things. So portion of what we raise, we try to give back to the schools because it's, education is so important to economic development. It's really like the cornerstone, and some of those schools get a bad rap, especially West Mesa High School.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I heard they don't even have lockers in there because people are just always getting fights in there, stuff like that.
it's bad, and I've sat in some of those. So it's like a community school, and so they have school councils where they bring in, neighborhood association leaders, business leaders, different people to kind of talk and see what can we do to make things better. And one time students are supposed to sit in. A lot of times the students don't sit in those meetings, but, at one point we did have students, and, not everyone is bad. It's, again, you have to uplift those ones that are really doing good. We can't just always talk about the negative stuff, and some of those, it's kind of discouraging because they feel like they're being overshadowed by all the bad stuff that's happening. So we've tried to, in the past, do things to elevate and uplift the students that are actually doing good stuff. They have really great sports, but it was kind of sad to hear some of the students just talk, they're like, well, we feel like what we're doing is not good enough because everyone just wants to talk about all the bad stuff that's going on here at our school. So yeah, just if anything to help our education system and start off, maybe that's where it starts. It does start off educating. We always hear New Mexico is 50th or whatever in education, and there really needs to be just more. I don't have kids, so I can't say, well, this is what they're doing, what they're not doing. But I think there needs to be more in the education part, and yeah.
Yeah, I could tell
It's like there's so many moving pieces to everything. It's where we could start here, we could start there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell you definitely have a passion for it. Like, you really want to just change up the whole culture of Albuquerque and get it to speed.
Not necessarily. Well, we want to make better education, but I think mainly getting it back to where it once was, because it shifted to a negative place. And I really would love to see it where it once was before. And I feel like pre-COVID is, that time where things were great. After, I feel like it just, maybe that was where the start of the mental health crisis came, because we were all locked, isolated, and I think that really did have a toll on the mental health crisis. A lot of people started, drinking a lot. It just wasn't a good time for people, and I think if we could get things back to where they were before all of that, then maybe it would be a better place.
Mm-hmm. Anybody, I know you're not like a counselor, but anybody struggling with mental health or depressed or suicidal, what would you recommend, or what would you say to them?
There's always help. There's so many resources, but most people don't know. And maybe I don't know about all of them myself, but I know that during the times in Santa Fe when, the lawmakers get together, they figure out, what are we going to do with all this money that we have? Where do we put the money? And a lot of it goes to these programs, but I don't think there's enough talk about these programs. I know like Bernalillo County receives so much for behavioral health, the city behavioral health. And so there are all these resources. It's maybe, maybe just if there was an easier way to find how to get access to them. Yeah, the mental health part it's like a really touchy subject, and you don't know how you really don't know what somebody's going through. And
Yeah, you don't.
I appreciate what you've done with your podcast and getting, people to talk about their past and how they have overcome a lot of that stuff. And maybe, maybe just some of these people need to do more, I don't know, talking about it, because I think there could be somebody that's, sees somebody and it's like, oh, I would have never guessed that they went through all of that stuff. And I think a lot of us probably have stuff that we've been through that maybe it's not easy to share. Yeah.
Well,
Opening up about stuff. There maybe I don't know how it would be easy. I think some people have a harder time opening up and sharing their struggles.
So, just I've never met you before, right? But just off your personality and what we've been talking about, you seem like you have a very positive outlook to anything and everything, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
How did you have that mindset?
Well, I had to go through some of those dark times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, in the past, I struggled. I don't want to say that I was like addicted to alcohol, but, in my early 20s, I was a party girl, and, a lot of crazy stuff happened during that time. And I think just from those experiences that I've had during that period in my life, because it can be a dangerous thing. There were some scary times that I dealt with in that era of my life. And after overcoming a lot of that stuff, then it made me appreciate things more and value life more and just want to have a positive outlook on everything.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Usually it's good whenever you went through some hard times. It's nice when you look at yourself now, like, oh, wow, like I used to be this and this person, but
Yeah.
I've changed, made a whole 360, and I'm proud of
Exactly.
myself.
Exactly. I was not in a good place. I was not involved with a good crowd of people, and if I were to actually open up and go really deep into a lot of that stuff, people would not believe what I had gone through to get to where I am now. Yeah.
Yeah, you seem like now you have a really good support system now and support team, and people really rally
Yeah.
behind you and really look up to you.
It took a lot to get to where I am, but yeah, you just never know what somebody has gone through in their life. And I think you were kind of alluding to this, like, somebody sees somebody doing really good, and there could be, people like, oh, well, she didn't deserve this, but you never know. You just never know, and I don't like to judge people. People have past, people have history, but I don't like to judge anybody based on their past, anything, if they are doing good now. And I think I've gotten to be a pretty good judge of character on people, and I know those that are really have good intentions and are really good-hearted people, and you'll still run into those that maybe like, oh, I'm going to be really cautious and maybe not get so close to this person because it just doesn't feel right. But yeah, I think over the years I've just really have learned, who I want in my circle.
I know we touched on a lot of topics during our conversation. What's one thing you want people to definitely get out of this conversation?
Oh man. Well, I guess, since we've talked about being in a dark place, like I feel like sometimes, you feel alone, you feel isolated, you feel like, and I even still struggle with this myself. I feel sometimes like, am I doing my best? Am I doing enough? Or like, what can I do better? Um, every day is always going to be a learning experience, and you're always going to, you know, I don't think you're ever going to perfect anything. Um, I, I feel like every day is a struggle for me to try to be perfect. I try to be perfect, and I know I cannot be. I know I'm going to have my mishaps, my downfalls, my struggles. But as long as you have a good support system and you believe in yourself, I think that's the number one thing. Is if you don't believe in yourself, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for others to do that,
Believe in
because
you.
I think they can see if you're just not having a positive outlook, if you're not confident. Maybe it's going to be hard to get support. But I have to be my biggest cheerleader, and
Yeah, it starts from
am
yourself.
also my biggest critic. I think I may be more of a critic on myself than a cheerleader, but I have to always remind myself, I've done some pretty good things. And when somebody, lets me know how I've helped them, then that makes me feel good. But yeah, it's never easy. It's never an easy thing to just, have that mindset of I am good enough. I am, it's
Yeah, all starts from yourself.
yes.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one can believe in you.
Yes, there are times, and yeah, listening to your self-talk. Like, what are your thoughts? What's going on in your mind? And at that point, you just gotta change it. Because again, sometimes I think I could be more critical of myself than anything, and I really have to step back, and that's why I say I'm an outdoors person, so I have to go take a walk, go, just kind of refresh, reset, and put the positive thoughts back in there.
Dang, that's cool. I really appreciate you coming on here. Telling me a little more about you and your business, and the positive outlook you want Albuquerque to have, especially on the west side, and
Yes.
helping out business owners and stuff like that. So we definitely need more people like you, and bringing, shedding positive spotlight
Yeah.
to Albuquerque and stuff like that. So definitely admire the work you're doing. I really wish you the best in your journey. I have high expectations for you in the future and stuff like that. So
Same to you, and I love to see, young entrepreneurs like yourself.
thank you.
Like that, I think that also is a highlight for me, is when, I run into people like you, just very ambitious, and also want to do the same. So I try to do my best so I can be that role model for the next generations.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate you coming on here. Um, and now, see you guys next time on the Smart Talk.